What's up, good people? Welcome to TajeAstrology. It's time for a little astrology gossip. Let's take a look at these celebrities' astrological placements to see what they're really like behind closed doors and take a look at the energy that's around them. Yeah, we gonna be all up in their business, but keep in mind that all readings are for entertainment purposes only. So you ready? Let's go. What's up, everyone? This is your girl, Todd, with CashApp, and y'all already know what time it is. It's time for another celebrities couples reading. Now, as you can see, today we are going to be talking about Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker. As you all know, they recently announced that they were getting a divorce after 11 years. Now, I have to admit that at first I didn't like them together, right? And there's no particular reason, I just didn't like them together. But over time, I eventually grew to love them together. I love seeing them together, especially after they kind of announced that they kind of dabble into the whole poly lifestyle from here and there. Because to me, that shows that they had a level of openness between the two. They were able to be vulnerable with each other. And that shows a level of closeness that a lot of couples don't have. So I can say that I was shocked that when Kandi announced that they were getting a divorce. But y'all know how we do. I immediately pulled their charts, and here we are. So are you ready? Let's get into the business. Now, first we're going to start off with Kandi. All right. So with Kandi, we got the Taurus moon. All right, so to me, that's telling me that she's a little stubborn, set in her ways, but she's grounded, right? That Capricorn moon is telling me that she is emotionally mature and is about her money and about business. That Gemini Mercury tells me that we all know that she is a singer and songwriter and actress and stuff like that. So that's Gemini Mercury. And what that also tells me is that she doesn't have a problem saying what's on her mind, but she may have a tendency to lie to spare people's feelings, right? And then at Venus Taurus, that's telling me that she does like beautiful quality things. But she also wants something that's going to bring value later on in life. So she's not going to get it just because it's beautiful. It's going to have value as well. All right. Let's talk about our brother Todd. Brother Todd is a big Leo sun energy. You know, Leos have big energies. They're ruled by the sun. So the sun is the center of the universe, and Leos like to be the center of the universe. They don't like doing things small. They like doing things grand. That Leo moon is telling me that he's probably very flirty, very emotionally charismatic. So, you know, and he likes beautiful things as well, especially with that Virgo Venus. He probably likes spending lots of money on beautiful things, and it probably buys things that makes him feel good. It makes him look good, right? And I bet he likes doing it in grand gestures. And with that Cancer Mercury, that's telling me that, you know, he probably communicates on an emotional level when he's emotionally stressed out, right? And then he also needs emotional security when expressing himself. All right. Now, we also know that he is a producer and a production manager. All right. Let's take a look at them together. All right, now we know that they were married April 2014. I think we all watched the marriage. It was televised, and they had like a series. I want to say it was maybe four weeks leading up to the marriage, where we were able to follow them as they got ready, as they went shopping for their wedding attire, and just leading up to the marriage. The controversial, of course, was Todd not wanting to sign the prenuptial agreement, and Kandi being very set on him signing that prenuptial agreement. And the highlight of it prior to the marriage was that he waited 4 hours before the wedding to sign the prenuptial agreement, even though, was that content, did that really happen? No, we'll never know. But we do know that she is very set on walking away with what she came in prior to the marriage, but seems very open to dividing up what they acquired once together. And we know that they have several businesses together. The old lady gang, they did several productions together, businesses together. That I don't think she has a problem dividing up. But what she acquired when she was with Escape and leading up to that, she wanted to make sure that she walked out with that intact. Okay, so let me pull up my notes. I have their charts pulled up as well. We're going to take a look at their placements and just take a look at what their marriage had going on. All right, so let's see here. When I look at their placements, they have a very strong energy. They have strong signs, a lot of fixed signs. And when you look at their chart, you have a strong earth, fire, power couple dynamic, right? This is what a lot of couples strive for, is this power couple dynamic. Kandi brings the stability, the endurance, the long-term vision. Todd brings the passion, the movement, and the catalytic energy, right? So this is, like I said, what most couples strive for, right? Their relationship is not a fantasy-filled relationship. They put in work, hard work, respect, and I do believe that they have emotionally evolved each other, right? So I don't think that like some couples, you kind of look and you think that it's just something about them. And with these placements, you see strong, powerful energy, right? Let's talk about the moon. We got Kandi's Capricorn moon, Todd's Libra moon. All right, Capricorn moon is emotionally steady, right? Responsible, reliable. The Libra moon seeks harmony, partnership, and emotional fairness, right? And I think that to some degree, Todd softens Kandi's emotional reserve, and Kandi kind of probably ground Todd when he becomes indecisive and people pleasing, because that is a trait of the Libra moon, right? Now, I do believe that the challenge within that is that kind of what I said earlier, that Kandi may suppress emotions and default to the, okay, I'm going to handle business when tempers flare and the relationship may be unbalanced. Where Todd, he needs emotional dialogue and reassurance. Again, that Leos need to know on a regular basis how fabulous they are, right? And Kandi with that Capricorn is like, I'm not really about that. I think you should know that I love you because of the things that I do. And so that can lead to being emotionally unsatisfied or unavailable for Kandi. And for Todd, he may be emotionally dissatisfied because, Kandi's like, well, you should be able to see what I'm doing to show that I love you. And that's the importance of understanding your partner's love language, right? And then Todd is like, yeah, I see what you do, but tell me how great I am. Tell me that you appreciate me, that you admire me, and all of that. That's just the energy that it brings. And so again, very important to know your person's love language, because you give love one way and you receive love one way, but so does your partner. So just because you give love one way doesn't mean that your partner is going to receive it if they have a different love language. It's very, very, very important. All right, so let's see here. Again, Taurus seeks security, loyalty, tangible results. Todd with the Leo sun, recognition, needs that passion, needs that availability to be self-created. All right. And if that is not done, that's going to cause a problem. Taurus is going to feel unsafe, not valued, and Leo's not going to feel admired. All right. Mercury, communication. How do you communicate? The communication style. All right. So we have a Gemini Mercury, Kandi, Candace Mercury, Todd. So with Mercury, you know that Mercury rules communication. With that Gemini, I believe that she communicates from a logical standpoint. It doesn't take her a long time. She's probably very quick with it. And she's going to come from an intellectual standpoint. As to where that Cancer Mercury is going to come from an emotional, intuitive, protective standpoint. Right? So he may feel like he may have to protect himself sometimes from her communication because she may come out too blunt. Right? It might trigger the Cancer in him based on her communication style, where he may seem like he's just overly too sensitive and is indirect, because we know Cancers aren't really direct. They kind of sidestep on what it is that they like to do. So emotions may be very high and causes a miscommunication when that is not recognized and purposely and intentionally dealt with. All right. Again, with that Gemini, we're talking about direct, sharp, can really kind of mentally focus on multiple things at the same time and can process a lot of energy, where that Cancer is emotionally intuitive and communicates from a feeling standpoint. Memory, like I'm sure he don't remember none of the shit that she may have done wrong or that she may have done wrong. Yeah, he's not gonna forget that, and he's gonna communicate instinctually. He may not be able to think what he's saying. It may just come out because that's how he is feeling. All right, what we got next? We got Venus, the love language. We talked about that. Now, Taurus needs that loyalty, that sensuality, steady, right? That physical affection. I think that her Capricorn moon, she don't need that to survive, but in intimate settings, I do believe that is very important. Like, you need to come correct, right? Where the Venus Virgo Todd is practical, very service oriented. He may do something to show to his love, which in theory works well with Candace because of that Capricorn moon, right? Capricorn moon is gonna do things to show, and so I think that they probably get along well there. He's gonna show by helping and fixing, being useful. Most men want to be useful by helping and fixing things, right? And so I think that they blend well with that. So their shared values in that is the reliability, the active services, and that long-term commitment. Now we got Mars. Now Mars is a sexual chemistry, and I think we all know that they have a very strong sexual chemistry just based on what they have shared with the public. looking at their charts, I can see you got Leo Mars, Kandi, and Aries Mars, Todd. Okay, Mars is sexual energy, is chemistry, is drive, right? Both that's fire sign. When you add fire with fire, you just get more fire. And so I do believe that within their sexual compatibility, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of confidence. They have no problem asserting their energy in that, where the other one doesn't feel diminished. And I think that they do both enjoy taking the lead with that. I think that with the strong attraction and physical spark, or I should say flame, that is, I think, I'm not going to say this is the only reason why they were together, but I do believe it was a strong factor in that. And because sexual, we know people that stay together because the sex is on point. And I believe, like I said, I'm not gonna say that's the only reason why they stay together, because there's a lot of relationship strong aspects, but I do believe that this was a factor. Now, outside of the sexual compatibility situation, just Aries in general, or Mars in general, there's ego battles, there's power structures, and I do believe that when temperatures flare, that arguments can escalate quickly, and it's a firestorm. I think it's a firestorm in a positive manner when with the sexual capacity, and I think that when they're on one, it's a firestorm. Now, do I believe or see that it was physical? I don't. I don't think that it was a physical, but I bet that they scorched each other. I mean, that's the only way that I can say when temperatures flared and arguments flared, they scorched each other. Now, if they, was able to evolve from that and calm down and this, that, then that's the whole point of knowing your hot spots and knowing your partner. So they may have been able to walk away, but yeah, I bet that it was definitely a firestorm. All right, so let's see here. Now, when we look at Saturn, they both had Cancer, Saturn in their Cancer, or Cancer in their Saturn, and that's strong karma. That is deep lessons around emotions, safety, loyalty, protection. And with this placement, uh, it's taking commitment seriously. So I really do think that they went into this marriage with serious intentions, right? I don't think they did it for any other reason other than they love each other and that they could see potential future growth from a legacy standpoint, a relationship standpoint, a family standpoint, all of that around, right? Um, and this is a very strong placement to have. Now, and we'll talk about it later, it could also be a very detrimental placement if not handled appropriately. All right. With that Cancer, you're focusing on the family, you're focusing on emotional security, parenting. They were a blended family. I think they dealt with that best that they could. Their children, or the children that they had outside of the marriage, or I should say before the marriage, they were kind of up in age. And when the children are kind of up in age, you really can't raise them because they've already been raised and they have their other parents. But it did look like they blended that as well as they could. They brought two other little babies in, a little baby boy, a little baby girl. And I think that those children are important to both of them equally. I don't see Todd being a deadbeat dad or an absent parent, nor do I see Kandi not taking care of her children as well once the separation takes place. With that Saturn energy, right, it also can bring heavy lessons around family, emotional security, and parenting as well. So I do believe that they had challenges with that, as well as it seemed like they were able to navigate it right? I do believe that their relationship is deeply tied to family responsibilities and legacies, and I do believe that uh, they strengthen over time and even through hardship, right? We know that they had some challenges outside of their marriage in the beginning, and I think that those outside influences did not influence their relationship. I think that as they worked together, it just kind of made things stronger. All right. Let's see. North South node. Okay. We got Kenny's Scorpio North node versus Todd's Capricorn. Or wait. Yeah. Wait, let me see. We have Kandi Scorpio North node versus Todd's Capricorn North node. All right. And what this is, it just kind of like it pushes Kandi towards emotional depth and transformation. It pushes Todd towards leadership, authority, and structure, right? And I do believe that in this relationship, in this marriage, they did evolve each other. It just wasn't kind of sitting around just existing or coexisting. That they brought an evolution to each other. The North, let's see, with that North Node, South Node, there was growth through vulnerability. I kind of mentioned that earlier, emotional depth and trust. And there's growth through leadership, like I said, authority and structure. And so I think that was very, very important within their relationship as well. Now, their power image, their public image, is going to fall under the Pluto Uranus, right? And they both have with that strong Libra and Scorpio influences, right? So again, I do believe that this relationship wasn't just some like little fairy tale, even though like their marriage, the televised version of it looked like it was a fairy tale. But I do believe they put work into this. They put work into this. They pushed each other to grow. They did what they had to do, and they didn't allow, like I said, the outside scrutiny affect them. Like we all know, Mama Joyce did not like Todd. I don't think Todd really had a beef with Mama Joyce, but I do believe that he was kind of irritated or what have you. And I would imagine that with Kandi, it was a very hard position to be in, where your mom is at odds with your husband and you love both and respect both. And so even in all of the conversations that Mama Joyce had about Todd, Kandi never disrespected her mom, and she never disrespected or threw her husband under the bus. And so I think that whatever reason why they are divorcing, it wasn't because of the public saying this, that, and the third, or her mama saying this, that, and the third, or his people saying this, that, and the third, or anything outside of them. I think it was them. I believe that with this particular aspect, there were power struggles. In that, I do believe that again there was mutual growth, but with the placements that they have, I do believe there were some power struggles. What I love about it is that there's no way that his Leo sun didn't require a certain amount of shine and attention, but I feel that her establishment as a professional kind of naturally outshined him, because she, when we look at them or we look at him, we don't see him for his autonomy, because he was established as well. We see him as Kandi's husband. And I think that her celebrityism, that's the word, outshined his Leo sun. And I'm sure that caused some kind of problems. Now, what I love about this couple is that I didn't see him trying to outshine her in public. Now, do I believe some shit went down in the house? Yeah, because that's just his natural self. Now, his Libra moon not wanting to really cause, conflict or confrontation probably played a part in that where we didn't see that. But yeah, I'm certain there was some kind of power struggles, especially with that Chiron. Both have Aries Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer, so focus on wounds and healing if you put that into aspect. And so that's wounds around identity, independence, and being seen as enough. And I think that she probably seen him as enough, but did he see himself as enough by not getting that public admiration? I think that if she felt that she wasn't enough, it was just her versus her, not her versus him. Where with him, it may be him versus her public persona, if that makes any sense, right? So I do think that in some regards they may have triggered each other's insecurities, but in different ways, in different aspects in that. So I think that with the biggest challenges, just with the fixed sign energy, there was some stubbornness there. There was some ego clashing. I think that during like stressful times, arguments, there was some emotional misalignments. There was control versus the compromise to some degree because I don't believe that Kandi controlled Todd. I don't believe that Todd controlled Kandi because they're both very strong-willed people. But I think that maybe some indirect attempts may have caused conflict, right? And I think that again, once under pressure, I think once they were calm, cool, collected, things flowed nicely. But when that pressure hit, that stress hit, that drama hit within them, then the communication may have been a bit much, right? So you got that Taurus stubbornness versus that Leo pride. Yeah, there's gonna be some fire. There is a firestorm, right? But I think that fire also it burned as passion as well, right? I do believe that with that, there's that emotional shutdown with that Capricorn moon. And I just don't want to deal with this. I'm gonna focus on my work where that emotional processing for that Libra moon, right? She may shut down and go to work, but he's still processing, he's still thinking about that, right? And I think that the work-life balance may have been a little bit unbalanced because they both were driven and how they just communicated with each other. But the relationship strength, long-term endurance, I do believe they had a mutual respect for work ethics. I personally don't believe that Todd was trying to financially milk Kandi, because I do believe that they both like money. They want that money. And Todd wasn't a bum. He may not have been at the same level as Kandi, but I don't, and even in the aspect, I don't see him as being a bum. I think they both had a mutual respect for work ethics. We know they had that strong sexual chemistry. They had the ability to build wealth and legacy, and I think that that's what they were doing together. And they had that loyalty through adversity. Now I don't know, is that going to change now they're divorced? Hopefully his Cancer, Mercury don't allow that to happen. I think that his Libra moon might be too cool for that, to like just talk shit about her. I don't think that she's gonna talk shit about him, but I think that if one strikes, then I think it's gonna be on. I think as long as they keep it cool and cute, then it's gonna be a cool and cute divorce. But if one strikes, yeah, this it's a wrap. This is it's gonna be hellfire to pay because they are gonna. I think they're gonna go in. But I'm hoping that that doesn't happen. Hopefully that Aries Mars don't. You know, if he strikes, that Leo Mars is gonna. Yeah, she's not gonna. She gonna keep it cute, he gonna keep it cute. But if either one of them get down and ugly, they both are gonna get down and ugly. And we can revisit this reading later on. See, I might do a part two as well. Let's see here. Notes. Um, like I said, I don't believe this was like a fairy tale. I think they knew what they were doing. I think they did. They had the attraction, they had the sexual compatibility, but they also knew they were going to build that partnership, that power within that partnership. And I think that they were focusing on building long term, again, loyalty, work, shared vision, and just these placements were built to withstand pressure. They were built to withstand that. But what happened? What happened? And I think kind of like what we've already talked about, the power struggles. I think that eventually kind of, I don't think it exploded like one day they just decided, all right, it's done. I think that it just kind of built over time, just the unresolved tension that built and began to calcify, right? It's like you don't wake up one day and there's calcification. It's a little bit, then a little bit more, and a little bit more. And then next you see that there's just, you know, it's just calcification all over the place, right? I think that Capricorn moon again goes by withdrawing and working, and Libra moon goes by seeking harmony and validation. So if she's withdrawn and she's working and she doesn't have that emotional connection that he needs, well, he's gonna feel emotionally unmet, and all that emotionally neediness, she's gonna feel like, all right, this is too much. This is just too much. And then I think eventually that kind of translates to uh, it's a burden. It's a burden. Also, I think that Capricorn moon believes in handling responsibility, like I said earlier, that equals to love, where that Libra moon needs that engagement. And not only that moon needs the engagement, but that sun needs the admiration. So yeah, I see. Todd is like, yeah, I see that you're doing this, that, and the third, but I need that reassurance, that admiration. And she's like, well, look, I'm doing this, that, and I'm handling responsibility. That's the love, don't you see that? So I think that there was maybe a potential clash in that as well. Let's see here. We got the okay, so I spoke earlier about the Cancer or Cancer Saturn Cancer, right? So that could be a very dutiful, solid placement, but it also is one of the most divorce prone placements when not dealt with, right? If you don't recognize it, work on it, or just, because there becomes an emotional duty one way or the other, right? There's that family pressure. And typically with this, staying for the children, they have the young children. They probably initially, once this divorce came about, the thought process was, staying for the children, probably a little bit for the image, maybe for obligation. They put this time in, they put this work, put this effort in, but I do believe that it just became emotionally exhausting for both of them. Not just Kandi is the one who filed, but I think it became emotionally exhausting for both of them. I believe that with these placements, the relationship became kind of heavy, and love, where it was passionate, it was growing, it was evolving, became into a responsibility as opposed to just a natural flow, because of the love language being a little bit different. And I think that over a period of time, emotional safety just kind of eroded away. Because if he's needing her to say, and I'm not saying that she didn't say that, but you're great, you're everything that I need, you are that man, or whatever. However, and then he not recognizing what she's doing in a tangible manner, that can be kind of heavy because the needs aren't met. And this is why it's very important to focus and realize what your partner's love language is. That's very, 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 very important, right? Talk about the Venus Mars. Um, I like I had mentioned before, this energy can turn passion into competition. Again, I'm glad that he doesn't do that competition in public, but I do believe that maybe behind the scenes, he doesn't. I mean, what man would want to be known as Kandi's husband? You know what I mean? It was another situation with Simone Biles. They were saying, calling her husband, I can't remember his name at the time, Simone's husband. Well, no man wants to be known as their wife, especially in this particular culture. So I think that was a conflict within. Um, I also, like I said, the ego conflict. Um, I think that there may have been some conflict on Kandi taking the lead in some regards, not allowing him to lead or seemingly lead. That was probably some breaks as well. Um, because again, Aries and Leo, okay, with the Mars, because Mars is that energy that's going to bring dominant clashes, right? And with the Taurus Virgo Venus, like I said, the love becomes conditional on effort and performance. It's not like that natural flow that it was earlier on. Again, going back, circling back around to that Chiron, I think that with that Aries, there's rules around being independent. 'Cause, the Aries energy wants to be independent, and I think that the energy of I have to do this on my own to prove who I am, or I have done this on my own. I am who I am. I think that may have played a factor in it, in the point of divorce, right? Just that autonomy. Aries needs autonomy, and I think that Kandi has the autonomy as well as Todd, but I don't think Todd is recognized, and it may have been a burden on Kandi to try to prove his autonomy, where he may not felt that autonomy in her shadow, that may have eroded at the relationship over a period of time. One or the other just feeling overshadowed. And I think that may have been, and then I think Kenny may have felt like she may have had to shrink herself so that he can feel big, but that's really not her style, to shrink herself. So I think that those energies may have kind of caused it, you know. I think that earlier on it was the building together, the shared goals, but that energy that I previously mentioned kind of changed. It eroded at that. And then they different, but I think that overall people grow apart. People don't like to hear that with relationships. They don't like to hear that, especially with marriages. People think that you're supposed to stay in there forever. And I don't believe that, because I think that each individual person needs to do what's best for them what's best for their family. And I don't think that you should just stay in a relationship or in a marriage if you're unhappy, if you're miserable, if that person's making you miserable or you making that person miserable. And people do grow, and they grow apart, they grow on different paths, different journeys. Their wants, what you wanted in the beginning may not be what you want and if you have different, you're going in different directions, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's staying together. So I do admire them for taking this stance. I don't think that they um, went about it easily. I don't think that just one day they were like, all right, you know, the hell with you. I think that they took the time. I think they agreed, even though she filed, that this was the best thing to do. And I hope that they will be able to do this in an amicable manner. But like I said earlier, I do believe that if one strikes, it's done. They're not gonna let one just talk shit and the other not talk shit. So I think that, let me see, that's pretty much all that I had as far as my notes. Um like I said, I am surprised that they are divorcing. But kind of looking at the placements, I'm not as surprised. Um, I do believe that they, like I said, they cause each other a lot of growth, and uh, they transformed each other. I think that if they're able to go through this divorce and keep it cute, that when they're interviewed separately, I think that they will speak fond of each other, and that they're no longer the same person that they were going into the marriage as they were going out of the marriage. Uh, because at the end of the day, they have a really good chart. But the placements are the placements, but the people within the placements is what brings the charts to life. So that's all that I have for Mr. Todd and Miss Kandi. I may do a part 2 to see how this happens, because she just announced it, I think, last month. So no telling what may happen. I'll do a part 2 to see how well my interpretation went. You all comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think is going to happen, how this is going to turn out, what your opinion is on the divorce. What you think is going to happen 5 years from now, what have you. I do think that if they keep it cute, that they'll still remain friends, good friends, because they really don't have a lot of immature placements. But I think if they need to get jiggy with each other, they can. But I think that they're going to want to keep it cute. So we'll see. We will definitely see. Like I said, make sure y'all subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all hit the thumbs up on this video. Share it. Help get me in the algorithm. Also, make sure that you check out my website, TajeAstrology.com. I do blogs, and I might post this as a blog as well. But yeah, help the girl out. Let me know what you think. And yeah, until next time, I will see y'all in the next vlog. Oh, let me know who y'all want, the couples that you want me to do next, because I do have some in mind. But if you all comment who you would like, I might do like a poll. Let me know who, and y'all can vote. I know I'm kind of slow with it. I'm gonna get a little bit better, but there's a lot of information when doing relationship compatibility. There's a lot of information that you have to consider before you do your report. So yeah, there's some couples out there. I'm not going to tell you who I have in mind, but yeah, let me know. I'm going to post who I think. There's some good ones out there that's currently going on, and we're gonna take a look and see what they got going on. But yeah, all right, that's all, y'all. I will holla at y'all later. Salute, salute.